developments suggest that President Donald Trump intends to lift sanctions on the NSO Group, the company behind the controversial Pegasus spyware. Reports indicate that Trump has promised Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu support for resuming military actions in Gaza, and has also committed to removing sanctions on NSO, which had been blacklisted by the U.S. government, due to its involvement in human rights abuses, linked to its spyware technology. Trump is reported to have assured Netanyahu that he would back Israel's military operations in Gaza, after a ceasefire deal with Hamas, indicating a willingness to violate the truce, if necessary. Trump's administration plans to lift sanctions on the NSO Group, which would allow the company to operate without restrictions in the U.S. This move aligns with ongoing lobbying efforts by NSO to reverse its blacklisting and regain access to American markets. What is the NSO Group? It is an Israeli technology company, known for developing cyber intelligence tools, primarily its notorious spyware, Pegasus. The name NSO originally stood for Neve, Shalev, Omri, which are the first names of its founders, Neve Karmi, Shalev Julio, and Omri Levi. The company was founded in 2010, and has since positioned itself as a significant player in the field of surveillance technology, providing its products mainly to government agencies for purposes such as combating terrorism and crime. The company's flagship product, Pegasus, is designed to infiltrate mobile devices covertly, allowing attackers to extract data and monitor communications without the target's knowledge. This capability has led to widespread controversy due to reports of its misuse by authoritarian regimes against journalists and human rights activists. Despite its claims of contributing to global security, NSO Group has faced significant scrutiny and criticism regarding the ethical implications of its technology and its impact on privacy rights. What is Pegasus? Pegasus is spyware, which is a sophisticated surveillance tool. It is designed to covertly and remotely infiltrate mobile devices, running iOS and Android operating systems, allowing attackers to access a wide range of sensitive data. Once installed, Pegasus can perform numerous invasive functions, including reading text messages and emails. It can intercept and read messages from various platforms, accessing microphone and camera. The spyware can activate the device's microphone and camera to record audio and video without the user's knowledge. Tracking location. Pegasus can monitor the physical location of the device in real time. Listening to phone calls. It allows attackers to eavesdrop on conversations. Collecting passwords. The spyware can utilize keyloggers to capture passwords typed by the user. Harvesting data from apps. It can extract information from popular applications like Facebook, WhatsApp, and Gmail. Pegasus is known for its ability to exploit vulnerabilities in mobile operating systems. There are two primary methods of infection. Zero-click exploits. This method allows Pegasus to install itself on a device without any user interaction. For instance, merely receiving a malicious iMessage could trigger the installation without the victim needing to click on anything. Phishing links. In some cases, attackers may send a link via email or text message that, when clicked, initiates a series of exploits to install the spyware. What makes Pegasus powerful? Its stealthy operation. The ability to install itself without user interaction means that targets are often unaware they are being surveilled, making it difficult for them to take protective measures. Its comprehensive surveillance. Once operational, Pegasus can collect a vast amount of data from the device, effectively turning it into a surveillance tool that captures nearly all user activities. Its global reach. The NSO Group markets Pegasus as a tool for law enforcement and counterterrorism, but it has been used by governments worldwide to target journalists, activists, and political dissidents, often in violation of human rights. The extensive list of potential targets includes over 50,000 phone numbers identified in investigations related to Pegasus usage. And its continuous evolution. The spyware's developers regularly update its capabilities to exploit new vulnerabilities, as they are discovered, ensuring its effectiveness against evolving security measures on mobile devices. The software's high cost limits its use primarily to state actors rather than common criminals or the general public. Which governments use Pegasus? Mexico has been identified as one of the largest users of Pegasus. The Mexican government reportedly employed the spyware to monitor journalists, human rights activists, and political opponents, particularly during the administration of President Enrique Peña Nieto. Investigations revealed that targets included individuals critical of the government and those investigating corruption. Hungary is the next biggest user. The Hungarian government under Prime Minister Viktor Orbán authorized the use of Pegasus to surveil political opponents, journalists, and civil society members. Reports indicate that numerous journalists and opposition figures were targeted, raising alarms about the erosion of press freedom and democratic norms in the country. Next is Saudi Arabia. Allegations have surfaced that Saudi Arabia used Pegasus to target dissidents abroad, including the assassination of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The spyware was reportedly employed to monitor activists and critics of the regime. Next is India. Reports suggest that Indian authorities have used Pegasus to spy on journalists, political opponents, and activists. The targeting of opposition leaders and civil society figures has raised concerns about governmental overreach and suppression of dissent. Next is Bahrain. The Bahraini government has been accused of using Pegasus to target exiled activists and dissidents. A notable case involved a Bahraini activist, whose phone was hacked shortly after he posted critical tweets about the government. Then, there is Egypt. Egyptian authorities have reportedly used Pegasus for surveillance against political opponents and activists. Allegations include targeting individuals who have spoken out against the government or have participated in protests. Various European Union countries. Several EU member states, including Poland, Greece, and Spain, have also been implicated in using Pegasus for surveillance purposes. In Poland, it has been used against opposition politicians and journalists. In Spain, it was reportedly used to target Catalan pro-independence activists. And then there are notable assassination cases linked to Pegasus. Jamal Khashoggi. The Saudi journalist was murdered in October 2018. Investigations revealed that Pegasus was used to target Khashoggi's phone and those of his family members prior to his assassination. His wife's phone was compromised months before the incident, suggesting a direct link between the spyware's use and his subsequent murder by Saudi operatives. Cecilio Pineda Birto. A Mexican investigative journalist, Pineda's phone was targeted by Pegasus just weeks before his assassination in March 2017. Reports indicate that at least 25 Mexican journalists were selected for targeting during this period. In the Dominican Republic, journalist Nuria Pira was targeted multiple times using Pegasus between 2020 and 2021, due to her investigative work on corruption. In El Salvador, the prominent news outlet El Faro faced extensive surveillance from Pegasus. Over 20 staff members were infected with the spyware, while investigating governmental corruption. In November 2022, a group of victims in the UK filed a criminal complaint against NSO Group, alleging violations of the Computer Misuse Act. The complaint highlighted the company's responsibility for selling Pegasus to governments known for human rights abuses, including Saudi Arabia and the UAE. The victims included activists and journalists who were surveilled between 2018 and 2020. It is estimated that around 200 journalists around the world have been targeted by NSO clients. Because of these many human rights abuses, in November 2021, the U.S. Commerce Department placed the NSO Group on its entity list. The U.S. entity list is a trade restriction list maintained by the Bureau of Industry and Security, within the U.S. Department of Commerce. Then, in a landmark ruling in November 2022, a U.S. federal judge found NSO Group liable for hacking into WhatsApp systems, to install spyware on approximately 1,400 devices belonging to users, including journalists and activists. This ruling marked a significant step towards holding the company accountable for its actions under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. WhatsApp's lawsuit against NSO Group began in 2019 and has led to ongoing discussions regarding potential damages. The court has ruled in favor of WhatsApp, and proceedings for damages will begin in March 2025. Should Trump actually lift sanctions on the NSO Group, it will have a far-reaching impact, particularly concerning human rights, international relations, and cybersecurity. First, there are human rights concerns. Pegasus spyware has been implicated in numerous human rights abuses, including the targeting of journalists, activists, and political dissidents, as already noted. Lifting sanctions will enable NSO to expand its operations, potentially leading to increased surveillance and repression in the U.S. and other countries. The removal from the U.S. entity list will undermine efforts to hold NSO accountable for its role in facilitating human rights violations globally. This will send a message that the U.S. is willing to overlook such abuses for geopolitical or economic interests. Second, there are international relations implications. While lifting sanctions on NSO might strengthen ties with Israel, it could also strain relationships with allies, concerned about the implications of NSO's technology being used against their own citizens or interests. Countries that prioritize human rights may view this move as a betrayal of shared values. The decision could exacerbate tensions with nations that have been critical of NSO's practices. Countries that have faced espionage or surveillance from foreign governments using Pegasus might react negatively, impacting diplomatic relations. Third, there are cybersecurity implications. Allowing NSO to operate freely in the U.S. market could lead to a proliferation of spyware technologies that threaten cybersecurity globally. This raises concerns about the potential misuse of such technologies by authoritarian regimes and non-state actors. The lifting of sanctions might embolden other companies engaged in similar activities, undermining existing legal frameworks designed to protect privacy and civil liberties. The precedent set by NSO's operations could lead to an increase in commercial spyware companies operating without accountability. Is Trump being wise to agree to lift sanctions on the NSO Group? And let us not forget Gaza. Pegasus plays a crucial and multifaceted role in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine, primarily through its use as a surveillance tool that impacts both security operations and human rights dynamics. Reports indicate that Pegasus has been used to hack the phones of Palestinian human rights activists, marking a significant instance of surveillance against those advocating for Palestinian rights. Security researchers have confirmed that at least 6 activists were targeted, raising serious concerns about privacy violations and the implications for civil society in the region. Pegasus is used to create an environment of intimidation. The use of such spyware against activists can deter individuals from engaging in advocacy or organizing efforts, as they may fear surveillance and potential repercussions from Israeli authorities. Israeli authorities use Pegasus to track individuals they believe are part of Hamas. The technology allows for zero-click access to devices, enabling intelligence agencies to monitor communications and movements of suspects without their knowledge. Israel frames such use of Pegasus as crucial for national security efforts aimed at preventing further attacks. By intercepting communications and tracking individuals' locations, Israeli forces carry out targeted killings. NSO's technology facilitates widespread abuses, particularly against marginalized populations such as Palestinians. Reports highlight that NSO's technology has been employed not only against Palestinian activists but also against journalists and other critics of the Israeli government. This has led to calls for greater accountability regarding the export and use of surveillance technologies. But, Israel uses Pegasus as a bargaining chip in foreign relations, because Pegasus is Israel's greatest diplomatic tool, where Israel offers such technologies to allied nations, in exchange for political support or concessions. This practice raises concerns about the global proliferation of surveillance technologies and their potential misuse by authoritarian regimes. And so, In recent months, NSO has intensified its lobbying activities, particularly targeting Republican lawmakers, spending over $1.8 million in 2024 alone, in the hope of reversing its blacklisting. The company argues that its technology can assist in counterterrorism efforts and aligns with U.S. interests in the Middle East. They have been framing their technology as vital for intelligence coordination between the U.S. and Israel, amidst the ongoing conflict, claiming that it aids in tracking down missing persons and hostages. NSO's lobbying strategy includes significant financial contributions to Republican campaigns, and direct meetings with lawmakers to discuss their technology's purported benefits. This approach is a calculated effort to exploit the current geopolitical climate, as NSO seeks to present itself as a necessary partner in national security, rather than a liability, due to past abuses. If sanctions against NSO were lifted by Trump, it could signify a shift towards a more aggressive stance on intelligence operations. Advocates for accountability fear that such changes could undermine progress made in regulating spyware technologies that threaten civil liberties globally. Trump's interest in lifting sanctions on NSO Group seems motivated by a combination of geopolitical strategy and potential alignment with Republican interests, which could significantly impact both U.S. foreign policy and global human rights standards, if successful. Let us hope that President Trump does not bow under pressure and continues the sanctions on the NSO Group and its Pegasus spyware. Or will he ask the help of Israel to build a surveillance state? Something that Israel is very good at.